There's a war happening in beer, and not the fun kind. Not the lager versus ale debate where someone gets louder after 3 pints. This is quieter, more bureaucratic, and far more serious. And most drinkers have absolutely no idea it's going on. It's the fight between independent breweries and everyone else. Supermarkets, global brewing giants, pub chains, and the distribution system that decides which beer you're even allowed to drink without realising it. And in the middle of all this is an organisation called SIBA, the Society of Independent Brewers and Associates, or as they like to put it, the big voice of independent beer. And if you brew beer in the UK, they're probably the reason you can exist at all.
It's Monday, don't groan, don't fear. The Bearded Beer Blog bloke is here. Talking nonsense, beard on show. Grab a brew and watch him go.
Right, that's enough of that silly voice. SIBA was founded in 1980. Back then, the problem wasn't craft beer trends or supermarket domination. It was something much more structural. A brewing system where big companies controlled most of the pubs and the distribution. SIBA was created to represent independent breweries and fight for fair access to market. Today it represents over 1,000 independent breweries, supplier businesses, home brewers and international members entering the UK scene. And that's important because SIBA isn't just a club anymore, it's an ecosystem. It's a network trying to hold together a fragmented industry. And the key idea under everything they do is simple. Independent beer should have a fair chance to reach drinkers. Which sounds obvious, but in practice, well, in reality, it really isn't. If you talk to independent brewers, the biggest issue isn't making good beer, it's selling it. Because access to pubs and bars is increasingly controlled by large multinational brewing groups and tied agreements. SIBA has repeatedly highlighted how independent breweries struggle to get taps in pubs due to financial tie-ins and supply arrangements that favour global brands. Basically, in plain English, even if your beer is brilliant, it might never make it into a bar near you. Not because customers don't want to buy it, but because the system doesn't make space for it. And that's the part most drinkers never see. You walk into a pub and think, this is a fine beer selection. When in reality, it might be, this is the beer selection that was allowed. The second pressure point is retail. Supermarkets dominate beer sales, and they've done something very clever for the last 20 odd years. They didn't just sell beer, they redefined what beer buying is. It's no longer go to a specialist shop, it's pick it up while buying bog roll and chicken nuggets. That sounds harmless, but it fundamentally changed independent retail. And that's because specialist off-licenses bottle shops and small retailers rely on one thing, destination buying. And that has been slowly eroded. Even though overall off-trade alcohol spending is still massive, tens of billions annually, the channels have completely shifted. And SIBA has been warning for years that independent producers are getting squeezed out of visibility in the process. Now, this is where it gets a bit messy. The words craft used to mean something. Small, independent, local. But that meaning has been diluted. Big corporations started buying small, successful craft brands while keeping the aesthetic intact. So now you've got situations where the branding looks indie, the marketing feels indie, but the ownership most definitely is not indie. That confusion is exactly why SIBA has been pushing the Indie Beer Identity campaign to give consumers a clearer way to identify truly independent brewers. Because for consumers, it's become genuinely hard to tell who actually owns what, and that matters. Because buying independent beer isn't just about taste, it's about where the money goes. Local jobs, local supply chains, local pubs. And now for the uncomfortable bit. Despite consumer interest in beer variety and indie products, the number of independent breweries in the UK has been falling. Recent SIBA reporting shows closures rising sharply, with brewery numbers dropping significantly due to taxation, energy costs and market pressure. So we've got this strange contradiction. People still love craft beer, but the businesses making it are under pressure. And SIBA's role here becomes less about promotion and more about survival. This isn't just a marketing issue though. It's a pricing issue, a distribution issue, a political issue. And it's so easy to dismiss this as a niche. Beer industry politics. Who cares? But it's actually a template for something bigger. Because the same pattern shows up everywhere. Music streaming, independent bookstores, local pubs, high street retail, food producers. It always starts the same way. A few big players become gatekeepers, convenience increases, choice appears to increase, but control actually concentrates. And SIBA is basically trying to push back against that in one specific corner of the industry, beer. So what is SIBA really? It's not just a trade body, it's a pressure group, a standards body, a lobbying organisation, a support network, and more increasingly, a survival mechanism for thousands of small breweries trying to exist in a system that does not always make room for them. And whether you drink craft beer, supermarket lager, or alcohol-free cans, the outcome of this fight affects what ends up in your glass, even if you never think about it. And that's the real story. Not just independent beer, but independent anything.